Welcome, Graham, to the Scottish Jazz Archive interviews, and thank you very much for making time today for us. And I thought maybe we could start by with you telling us how you got into jazz in the first place.
Okay. Um, well, I better start at how I got into playing music altogether. Um, I started piano lessons when I was 8 years old, and I continued them for 8 years. I've got a twin sister. The two of us used to play duets together, and our music teacher encouraged us to play in public as well. So, which is what we did. And there were local music festivals in Glasgow and Edinburgh, in Lanarkshire, and we played in them. We also played in BBC Radio Scotland's Children's Hour when we were 12. So we we started quite early in the broadcast business. Uh, and then when I was 13, I joined the Boys Brigade, and I joined the Boys Brigade brass band. The, I was given a cornet, uh, and the bandmaster gave me his advice on how to produce a note, which was to imagine you had a little cigarette tobacco on your tongue and you wanted to spit it out. But of course, I didn't smoke at the time, being 13. So that wasn't really much help. He also gave me a wee pamphlet to take away. So I was virtually self taught and probably picked up a whole bunch of bad habits in doing that. So I was now at secondary school, of course, and I played in the school orchestra on trumpet, and I played banjo in a skiffle group, which was very popular at the time. And of course, it wasn't too difficult to pick up the limited number of chords you require in a banjo to play in a skiffle group. I then started a jazz club in the school, and we listened to jazz records. And we were very lucky. Jim McHarg, who was the original founder of the Clyde Valley Stompers, he brought his band to the school, played a wee concert for us, and then did a little talk about the origins of jazz, which was very kind of him. Jim moved to Canada, of course, and then the band was taken over by the trombonist then. Um, in the BB Brass Band, Charlie Gall, who was the original trumpeter for the Clyde Valley Stompers, he was the first cornet in the brass band. And when we were uh, between marches and so forth in rehearsal, Charlie would sit and play jazz standards, and that sort of tickled my imagination a wee bit. Now, you know, so I went from there. I started a wee jazz band in school. That was three pupils and three teachers, would you believe? Which was quite quite unusual, but it was quite an unusual school. We would play we would play relief band, as it were, in the school dances at the interval and so forth. So that was good. And then I started a jazz band with my pals. That was called the Delta Jazz Band, and we played various scout dances and gigs like that, and a Sunday evening jazz session at the Sheeling Hotel in Paisley, which that was quite novel at the time. Uh, so I had that band going when I became a student at the Royal College of Science and Technology in Glasgow, and when I was there, we started playing wee jazz sessions on a Wednesday lunchtime, which was with the other students, with other student musicians. That's where I met Bob Busby, who became a lifelong pal of mine. And we also played, I also played with various Glasgow bands at the time. Uh, and I had a season with the Esquire Jazz Band. Uh, we did the Lex McLean show in the Glasgow Pavilion for a summer season, and that was a lot of fun. When we went back to the college again in the autumn, Bob and I decided to form a band for to go not full time, but a regular band, and we called that the Tech Jazz Band. It was a student band, a 7 piece. We had a pianist, and Bob introduced me to the music of Sandy Brown. So we covered quite a lot of Sandy Brown tracks, which uh, which went down very well with the gigs we had in the west of Scotland. And we played university and college dances and things like that. And when Bob and I both graduated, we carried on with the band as the Stark Busby Jazz Band. In 1962, I was invited to join the Southside Jazz Band, and we had a four-man front line, which was trumpet, trombone, clarinet, and alto sax. The clarinetist was Dick Stroke, a very, very talented clarinetist, and he doubled on tenor sax. So we and Kenny Matheson played drums. Dick unfortunately died too early, but Ken's gone from strength to strength, as I'm sure you know. Again, we played quite a number of Sandy Brown numbers, and we had arrangements by Dick Stroke or Kenny or myself. It was quite a democratic band. Whoever did the arrangements got the final say. That was the rule. So I suppose the ultimate when I was with the South Side at the time was the last Scottish Jazz Band Championship, which the band won, and I was fortunate to win the trumpet award. So that was quite encouraging. I then joined George Penman's band in 1965, and we played regularly at the Eglinton Arms, which was a very long-running Monday night session. It went on for years and years and years. And we had various gigs and one or two broadcasts, and notably a half-hour insert on Humphrey Litterton's Jazz Club on Radio 1. So also we played the BBC's Hogmanay programme. And what year would that be? Anyway, we played that as well with George Chisholm. He was smashing and very encouraging. After about 7 years, myself and George Kidd, the trombonist, became surplus to requirements in the George Penman band. George's personnel changed so frequently. George Kidd was another very, very talented musician. Never reached his full potential because of his fondness for alcohol, unfortunately. But he was a smashing guy, and he was a great sideman. So George and I joined Hamish Henry, the drummer, and a young Kenny Stewart in a regular Glasgow University weekly gig from then. I returned to the piano then, and I was playing trio and quartet work with a good friend, Sid Katzenell, who was again a very talented guitarist. So we enjoyed quite a lot of success in small group stuff. I also played with a big band, which was just a rehearsal band, but it was great fun. Big band in Greenock. George Kidd and I used to go down and play in that. And then Alan Wallace had resurrected the Southside Jazz Band and asked me to rejoin that. It was now just a 6-piece trad band. And I played with them for a few years till Kit Carey, who was a banjo player from Penman's band, Kit and Dick Stroke and Hamish Henry, the drummer, they formed a new band, and that was the Kit Carey Jazz Band. And I was asked to join that. And we played quite a number of gigs, and we played quite a number of jazz clubs. In fact, we opened quite a number of jazz clubs, but it was very difficult to keep the numbers going in these things. Um, Dick, unfortunately, as I say, died. He died too young, and Tommy Taylor joined us on clarinet. We played a number of dances now. Also, yeah, we played weekly at the Glasgow Garden Festival, which was 1988. And we also were the sponsored band of the Glasgow Year of Culture in 1990. So that band still exists, but gigs are a bit thin on the ground now. About the turn of the century, I started playing with Jeannie Maxwell's Jazzwegians. Jeannie was very good at getting gigs. She was really good. So we were very busy, and we played lots of gigs over about 8 years. And I also played quartet work with Kit Carey and Tommy Evans, the bass player, another accomplished musician. About 2000, what would it be? 2011, I started playing with Davy Wilson's band. Davy had a regular Saturday afternoon in what was Laurie's Bar in the Trongate in Glasgow. Still going. And unfortunately, Davy died in about 7 years ago, and I took the band over, and we now play under the name of Merchant City Jazz. So up till the COVID pandemic struck us all, we have been playing regularly on a Saturday afternoon to a full house. Very encouraging audience, and also the owner is very encouraging with us. So we really have enjoyed that, and we often see people like Bob Busby, Andy Lauder, and other jazz musicians who'll look in on us, which is really nice. So we're still there, as I say, and hopefully we'll still be playing when we're allowed to get back to normality again. So we hope to resume.
Tell me something, Graham.
Loads and loads of pals in jazz, and I've been very fortunate in that regard, and very lucky to have what I would call a parallel life in music, and cross fingers, it's not over yet.
And tell me something, Graham. Were you a professional jazz musician, or did you have a day job as well?
I had a day job. I don't know how much you consider yours a job, but I was a university lecturer and enjoyed it enormously. I graduated as a civil engineer, and I worked in the industry for a while. And then I joined Glasgow University, and then ultimately Paisley University. And I enjoyed that enormously. I loved it. So that was my day job.
Absolutely, and I also love my day job because I mean it still allows us to play gigs in the evenings and weekends and
yeah.
And tell me, I mean that's a lot of years that you've covered in your career since the early '60s.
Yeah, I guess I've been playing jazz for about 70 years, I would think.
And what would you say? What would you say are the biggest changes that you've seen over that period? Because there must have been many.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's obviously a high spot to play in Humphrey Lyttelton's jazz club for half an hour. That really was felt quite an achievement. Um, and by and large, I've just enjoyed all the guys I've played with. I've never played in an unhappy band, you know. So some bands, as you may or may not know, some bands tend to fall in and out with each other to a certain extent. But I've been very lucky. I've always played in happy bands, and jazz to me is happy music. So that makes all the difference as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. I concur 100%. I'm very lucky to also work with people that I like, and get on with.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing, I think. And I mean, in terms of the scene, the jazz scene in Glasgow, has it changed much over the years? Or
Um, well, I guess not a lot actually. I'm thinking of I've forgotten his name, but a long-serving uh, international trumpeter who said in one occasion, "They can put men in the moon, and I'm still playing Indiana," which which kind of sums up a lot of it. But I mean, the band I play in now has a guitar in place of a banjo, and the trombonist says so. Uh, is trombonists aren't so numerous uh, now, so we play with a tenor sax. Um,
uh,
so
and
that
what
that
about the
extent
odd?
it's changed, and the repertoire's changed. I mean, we play almost anything. We play things from the Great American Songbook and so forth. You know, it's all head arrangements now. I used to do when I was with Kit Carey's band. I did a lot of arranging, and that was we tried to look for the sort of less well known numbers, which I think lent the band a wee bit of distinction when you were playing numbers that people didn't know, whilst other bands were playing the Chris Barber repertoire and things like that, you know. So we always tried to be a wee bit distinct in that regard. Uh, but to that extent, I guess the the numbers that we play have changed over the years, but not greatly, because we still have a crowd that come in to see us who like to hear the trad numbers. So I tend to mix up trad numbers with what we want to play to give us a bit of freshness, you know.
And have the audiences changed in the time that you've been playing? Is there
The
anything
what?
that you've have the audiences changed in any way? The people
Not
that
at
come and
all.
listen.
The Glasgow audiences are very faithful, and and they tend to be very trad oriented. There's not a big audience in Glasgow for anything past mainstream jazz, you know. They don't really take to modern jazz at all. And I'm afraid I don't either. I'm a bit of a romantic musically. I like tuneful things and sort of romantic jazz.
We share that also, although
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
my
the
style's
same with
maybe.
classical music. When I'm playing, I play piano at home. You know, I generally play about an hour a day, and but it's always it's never anything that's really avant-garde. It's it's generally the old favourites, you know, the Beethovens and Schuberts and Mozarts and so forth, you know.
And
So romantic.
looking back on those 70 years, then I mean, you mentioned playing in Humphrey Littleton's club. Are there any other big highlights that you remember in your career?
Uh, well, I suppose I really enjoyed playing in the Glasgow Garden Festival because lots of people come in to see us. We played every Sunday, and we just felt we brought a wee bit of happiness, you know, and colour to the musical colour to the Sunday afternoon as well. So I really enjoyed that, and I mean, I guess I've just enjoyed all the people I've played with. That's to me, jazz is the jazz fraternity in Scotland is a very, very friendly company. you know. And it's great still to see the guys when they come in to see me on a Saturday afternoon. It's smashing.